Okay, I'm going to start recording now.
All right, gang, we ready? Nod by signifying saying yes, and we'll get
Yes.
moving. I'd like to call the Muhlenberg Board of Commissioners meeting for Monday, April 20th, 2020 to order. Can you all please rise for a pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic,
For which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, liberty and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all. Let's just take a moment of reflection for Nat Napolitano. I think everyone knows Nat. He served on our planning commission for many, many years and was a local business owner. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the announcements, the meeting advertisement. Michael Setley, what do we need to do for the meeting advertisement?
For this meeting,
Yeah,
we did place an ad about the remote nature of the meeting. And then following the meeting, residents will know from going to the website that they can go and watch a recording on the YouTube that Joey has set up.
okay. So there's no formal action we need, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, moving on. I need a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
move.
Seconded.
Any questions or comments on the consent agenda items? All those signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. Ayes have it, so ordered. Any unfinished business by any of the board members? Okay, moving on to the budget review. I think everyone has seen Dawn's email regarding some of the shortfalls we can obviously expect due to the current stay-at-home order by the governor and things that are impacting every municipality across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Currently, if you've seen, the governor just actually extended, I believe, the stay until May 8th this afternoon. So I don't really know what that means. It's not, doesn't come with a lot of details around it. But one of the things, I guess, and we can vote on it individually, or we can talk through it as a board about whether we want to defer some of these projects until May, at least to kind of get a feeling for what our financial situation is going to look like. Obviously, you know, we have some big ticket items on the agenda, so we just wanted to throw it out there whether we should do our due diligence to kind of see where we're at with May. My understanding is, Brian and Mike, our bids that we received on some of this stuff will still be valid until the May meeting, where we can once again reevaluate where we're at from a fiscal standpoint, to see how bad we're going to be impacted by the earned income tax, the business privilege tax, real estate transfer tax, which is, you know, some big ticket items for us that are really going to get impacted. So I'll be quiet and take any comments I have from the board before we go through all these additional items.
Just Mike, from the receipt of bids, we have 60 days to award, and thereafter you can ask bidders to extend in 30-day increments. So I think we're fine for anything the board may want to hold till May.
Thank you, Michael.
I'll jump in, Mike. I think it would be prudent to wait at this point. There's a meeting tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, that the CELG is going to sponsor on this particular topic. Brian, Dawn, and Joe, Brian, Dawn, and Jim, I believe, are going to attend. The Berks Municipal Partnership is supposed to have a pretty big panel discussion on financial implications to all municipalities. And I think, you know, they'll probably come back with some information for us to digest. So I just think it would be prudent to wait. Another month doesn't really hurt anything at this point. Everything else is kind of in a wait and, hold pattern anyway. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Steve, there?
The governor evidently put a stay-at-home order until May 8th.
Yeah,
So that pushes it back a couple weeks now as it is.
I think it'd be prudent, just like Kevin said, to wait another month. We're going to be set. Everybody's going to be stuck until the 8th anyway. So why not hold it? Why not see how it shakes out a little bit more, and we'll go from there.
All right, so what then I'll do, since we have a unanimous consent from the board to hold off on any large capital items, when I get to them in the agenda, we'll just bypass them and table them till next week, unless Mr. Setley thinks otherwise. We'll just move past those and put them on the May agenda and have Dawn, who I know is listening, give us another analysis at the end of April to see kind of where we're at, which I would imagine will be a little farther probably in the hole, because we're not really going to be getting anything anyway. So, all righty. We good to go?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service.
Move.
Moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. So I will skip item C to be tabled until May. Item D, a motion to adopt resolution 2020-08, extending the filing date for the business privilege tax.
Move.
Moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, and so ordered. I will also move item E on our agenda to the May meeting. Item F, a motion to adopt ordinance 591, amending the recycling ordinance to mandate recycling at large gatherings.
Move.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Could we have a little discussion on that? Maybe I
Sure.
could use Steve Dunkel here also. Does that include the Temple Parade and everything? I mean, I'm a green person. I'm just wondering, what problems is this going to cause?
This is Jim Bobek. This ordinance amendment is required by DEP for the 901 and the 902 recycling grants that we receive. And realistically, this is as simple as putting out recycling containers with trash receptacles. A lot of times, companies like Mascaro will offer foldable cardboard containers specifically for recycling. And then when you're all said and done, the whole container, the cardboard container and all the recyclables inside of it go into one dumpster and get hauled to the recycling sorting facility.
Okay.
And this is now a mandate, Jim?
It's a part of the Act 101, the state mandate Act 101, but it also clarifies our ordinance a bit more than what our ordinance how it already read. It wasn't perfectly clear, and from the municipal perspective, we've already been offering recycling at our large events, but what this does is it requires other public events to also recycle.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you, Jim. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, and so ordered. Item number G, motion to authorize the exemption from the collection of the amusement tax for 2020.
Move.
Seconded.
I'll make a comment on that is I was approached by a couple of local business owners, specifically Fantasy Skating. I know it's not a large budget item, but as you saw, I think from Mr. Setley, that it can't be done piecemeal. It has to be done for everybody. Obviously, they're not open, so they're not really collecting any amusement tax now, but I do think long-term, when they can open back up, we can do a little bit to help the small business. We don't have a lot of control in local government to help these small establishments, but I think this is probably the right thing to do, but it will impact us about $30,000. So I think those who have to pay it will appreciate us looking out for them in 2020.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Brian Kissinger as the Emergency Management Coordinator.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Questions or comments? Do we have a replacement?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I don't think we do. I think we have to have further discussion on that. I'm talking with Larry Moyer and he has some ideas, and I think we can sit down with Brian.
Okay,
I'll also mention, Mike, that Larry is serving as the interim EMC, so the position is covered.
okay, that makes
Is
sense.
covered.
Any further questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, and so ordered. We didn't really talk about the chief's position, so I'm not sure because of waiting till May if this has any deterrent or hiring folks right now. We didn't bring that up about holding off with capital items. So before I vote on it, is everyone comfortable voting on it right now, or would you like to defer it? Or
Sure, let's do it.
all right,
I'm good with it.
That's the replacement employee anyway, right?
sure.
Let's do it anyway.
All right, so I need a motion to authorize the police chief to extend an offer of employment to a candidate from the civil service list.
Moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Is this, I see the fellas from York. Is he going to be moving here?
Chief?
You're muted, chief.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can now, chief.
Yes, we have a requirement that they live a certain distance from the township, and that would be way too far. So he will have to move here.
Great.
All right, thank you, chief.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. Ayes have it, and so ordered. In a motion to adopt resolution 2020-07, authorizing the township manager to execute an agreement with Safety Net Sanctuary for animal control services.
Move.
Seconded.
Questions or comments?
Will this be in addition to Habitat, or I mean, the Humane Society, or is this going to be replacing that moving forward?
I think it would be a combination of both, Derek.
Mhm.
Right now, we cannot take animals to the Humane Society. Residents have to do it, and then there is a fee associated with it that we then reimburse them. The agreement with Safety Net Sanctuary, animals can be taken there, or they will come to pick up the animals. They would prefer actually to pick them up just to control what's being taken. It would be a $3,000 annual donation. I envision this our relationship with the Humane Society as being a backup in case we're in a bind.
I'm comfortable with that. I just want to keep all of our options open as if citizens can only think of the one place and can't take it to the sanctuary, that's fine too. But I'd like to leave our citizens open to everything.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any noes? Ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to award the pension RFP to Principal Financial Management.
Move.
Seconded.
Any questions or comments? As you know, first time in a long time, we actually put this out for bid, and Brian and Dawn completed the interviews, and this is their recommendation. So hopefully we'll get some return on our money.
Anybody take notice that John Spagnola, the Eagles tight end, will be one of our reps.
Oh, really?
That's awesome.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Need a motion to adopt resolution 2020-09 extending the property tax flat tax period until September 30th. This mirrors what the county of Berks is doing also.
Move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All
Mike,
those, go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, Mike, I will mention, I spoke with Pat Lupia today regarding this, and about 80% of our property taxes are paid in the discount period. So this should not be a huge, it shouldn't have a huge impact on our budget. So Pat's aware of it. And I think he supports the idea as well.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Any other new business by any of the commissioners?
Brian, I'd like to talk about the May and June events. Should we be continuing planning them, or should we be canceling some at this point?
Was that question, Steve, to the board, or you're talking to Brian and Jim?
I'm talking to the board. I'm saying we have
Spring.
Reading Phillies probably won't be getting together, but they May 9, we have Reading Phillies. May 29th, we have the Philadelphia Phillies event, which we could lose money if we don't sell tickets. We have May 16, we have a flea market. May 29, we have Memorial Day, which we want to continue. Spring Fiesta, June 13. These do take a lot of coordination with volunteers, and just looking at some of the May events, maybe we should just throw the towel in.
No, I don't. Let's not do that. Let's wait until the governor opens this thing up. Everybody's gonna want to get out of the house. We can make a fortune.
I'm not familiar with all of the events, Steve. I don't know, Kevin and Daryl will get their opinion. Some of the especially the June ones, I guess I would take the recommendation of the Park and Rec Board, but I'd hate to cancel anything in June.
Exactly.
But that's just my opinion. They've been pretty, I don't want to say, the uncertainty of it has obviously been pretty prevalent since the numbers are seems to be a little different than they originally forecasted. That's just my opinion based on, I'm not sure the May stuff or the work that goes into it. I'll have to take the recommendation of the Parks Board and that, but the big events like Spring Fiesta, I would say unless the vendors need certain amount of notification, I don't know if April 20th would be the right thing to cancel a June event for, but I'm only one opinion. So whatever Kevin, Derek, Butch think.
Yeah, I think things like the Phillies and stuff like that, I think the leagues will figure that out on their own. And therefore, we're not going to be at loss for tickets not quote unquote sold. But
I believe we will if we buy tickets for the Phillies game and we don't get to sell them. I'm not going to go on a bus ride down to Philadelphia for a Phillies game and sit shoulder to
Sure, but
shoulder with somebody down there.
they'll reimburse. The leagues have insurance for that. And they have to, if the event is not held before a certain time, the money will be refunded. I'm in favor of letting it ride. I see entire countries saying let's not open up until June and stuff like that. I think that's far too. I think just people are itching to get out there. We'll play by the rules and for the time being. But people are going to want to get out and get out there and enjoy the outdoors. And this is America, so.
May 16, we have a flea market, so we have to do all that planning, getting everything worked out with porta potties and everything. And who's going to be going to the flea market?
Yeah, I mean, the flea market may be a different scenario, but I don't know. Has the Park and Rec Board weighed in at all, Steve?
I don't know, Jim. I doubt it. Jim, you have to.
We didn't have a March meeting. So the park board hasn't weighed in yet, but the school district, the flea market has taken care of itself because it's on school district property.
Okay.
And so the school district is closed for the rest of the school year. And so the flea market is, we're looking at the opportunity to reschedule to the fall, and in worst case scenario, cancel altogether. So the flea market's taken care of.
Is
Kevin,
that the most pressing event that we have other than the Reading Phillies and the Philadelphia Phillies?
Those are the next three, other than the Memorial Day ceremony on the 29th and obviously Spring Fiesta in June.
We'll play that by ear. I mean, we have nearly a month between the time we open up and the Memorial Day festivities, so I'm not worried about that personally. We'll take that as it comes.
I don't have a problem with Memorial Day. With Spring Fiesta, you have to get your bands together. You have to get there are some vendors already that canceled, and we didn't make any money last year. I'm just thinking, are we going to be losing money again? Because a lot of it's on advertisement. A lot of prep with our parks people and getting the thing together. I just that event last year, if you recall, it was in a small area, shoulder to shoulder, and I think it's irresponsible, quite frankly.
As for Memorial Day, has there been any planning meetings that have taken place, Jim?
Yes, Memorial Day ceremony is actually pretty straightforward at this point, and it is pretty much hashed out. We know that we won't have the high school JROTC, and we know that we won't have the high school chorus or band. So we have fill-ins for them. So we're ready to go with the Memorial Day ceremony. The main speaker is going to be Otto again this year, and he's ready to go or stop at a moment's notice. So there's not much left for the Memorial Day ceremony except the concern for a large gathering.
Okay. The one scout troop I know is meeting virtually. I'm not sure, that's 161. I'm not sure what 155 is doing. So I'll talk to leaders and let them know that it sounds like it could still be a go to see if there'd be any boys that would be interested. Because some of that'll boil down to whether or not parents would even allow boys to participate in an event, so I'll have to kind of regroup with the leaders, see what kind of participation we might be able to expect, just to do the flag ceremony. But, the speakers themselves, it sounds good, if they're go or no go on a moment's notice. And again, if it's something that has to be postponed, we can always do something a little later on anyway.
Yeah, we
But
also have the entire soccer fields too to use. We don't have to cram everybody
Right.
into the
Right.
spot up top if we need to. That makes people. Now I'm talking, this is late May, so if the world doesn't open up, we're gonna be having a whole lot of different conversations. So we could even move it down to the soccer field and try to do something if that makes people more comfortable. But I mean, it's April 20th, so it's so hard to even determine any of this. But to your point, Wolf, I can't answer that about the Philly stuff. I don't know the financial ramifications. The flea market, Jim already told me, was being taken care of because of the school, but I guess we have to figure out for the Phillies how that all might take care of itself too.
I think you have to look into what Derek was saying about, if there's some type of insurance, if we're reimbursed, because I'd hate to see us purchase all these tickets
Right.
and lose out. So I don't know who does that, or who we appoint to do that, but I think that needs to be looked into. But to Steve's point too, though, about the spring fiesta, to try to get those vendors, I think we need a little more feedback, maybe from Karen and Jim, just to find out, even from a vendor standpoint, if it's feasible at this point.
I think it would be smart to have a maybe Jim, if you could arrange an emergency Parks Board meeting. What I do have concern about with the Phillies and the Reading Phillies is transportation concerns. You cannot, because that's a different party in general. I don't know how reimbursement for bus tickets would go. So, maybe Jim, if you could get the committees together to kind of hash out some of these smaller details on events that are coming up, I think that would be proactive.
I think what we can put together in pretty short order is the answer as to whether or not we would be on the hook for the costs of the Phillies tickets. We know that the Reading, the Fightins, we know that there's no cost there. That's all sponsored by Fightins. So as far as Spring Fiesta, whether or not there is any vendors that have backed out, what the event looks like moving forward. I know last we spoke, most of the bands were squared away and booked and ready to go. So the big question is, how many of the vendors have backed out, and what will the event look like if we have half the amount of vendors that we anticipated? So we can find that out pretty quickly, probably tonight, actually.
Jim, can you also find out what it would look like if we just push the date back a couple weeks?
And that would, we can do that. That's going to be pretty much seeing if everybody's still available later June, and or early July. We can do that. That'll take a little bit longer to hear back from all of the participants, but yes, we can do that as well.
Well,
a lot of these vendors may already be booked other places though. That's the problem. I don't know about pushing the date back.
Yeah.
But let's find out how many vendors we actually lost. If we only lost a couple, then it's not a huge deal. You don't happen to have that number, do you, Jim?
Not offhand. I'll gather it up tonight and I'll shoot out an email this evening.
All right.
Yeah, and then we can kind of make a decision, as soon as we have all the information available about what to do. And Steve, thanks for bringing it up. I'll probably follow the recommendation of the Parks group and what they want to do and what they think's best financially, and ensuring that the safety of whoever's going is foremost important for everybody, as I'm sure it is for all five of us. So Jim, we'll kind of let that in your lap, all right?
Absolutely. Expect an email this evening or early tomorrow morning with some information. Yes.
All right, anybody else have anything they would like to talk about under new business before we go into final comments? Joey, I don't see any questions from the public, correct?
No, we didn't receive any questions from the public, but Melissa from the library submitted some information that Brian's going to read. That will also be posted on our website under our spotlight section at the bottom of the homepage.
Okay,
I seen a Facebook post where a Muhlenberg student works at Burger King. And one of the people that was employed at Burger King is infected with the virus. And the parent was questioning where in the township to check about this health issue. I did talk with Brian about this, and he said about Michelle Dolniak. But the comment was that the manager told the student not to say anything to anybody. I'm not exactly sure how much oversight the township has in this virus issue and a business that has an employee with a virus. But is it solely Michelle Dolniak's deal to go out there and speak to the folks at Burger King, or is that a codes issue? I guess she's under codes, right, Michelle?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a legal question for Mike. I know there's a lot of HIPAA related, if anyone should even know that, how a business handles it. I don't know, Mike, what legal authority the township has of anything with a business owner who's not accurately informing their employees of the infection. So I'll shut up and let you tell us what you think.
No, I agree, Mike. Unfortunately, we really don't have, we can go ask the question and they can tell us to get lost, and there's really nothing we can do about it.
Well, I'm not so much worried about the employees as much as the public. If we had a person in there that has the virus and they're working and the employer is aware of it, then they're putting the community in jeopardy. Where do we come in?
I understand your concern. I just don't know what we could do about it. If we go and talk to Burger King and they say, no, we don't have any employee here with a virus that's working, I don't know that there's any level of investigation we can do to find out if the person's telling us the truth.
Well, is that something we ought to look down the road at? We need to make sure that anybody that's handling food, if they have the virus, do we want to let them to continue to work and infect the community? Is it our responsibility, or what should we do about this?
I saw the same post, but what had me bothered about the whole thing is it's unsubstantiated. All of it's unsubstantiated, and it's a good thing to think about. However, it's a Facebook post. Anybody can make up anything about anything on Facebook, and I think it does nothing more than to stoke fear. And I saw a similar post about Walmart. It's stuff that's completely unsubstantiated. If we go into employees' health matters, that's going to be HIPAA concerns out the wazoo. And to people going out there or putting their children, allowing their children to work, that's on them. If they're concerned, they don't have to send their kid into work. If the employer has concerns, they don't have to keep serving food. It's going to be to the individual going forward. I think that's the only thing that makes any sense. If you're scared, don't go out. Simple as that.
What I'm asking is, do we have any responsibility? Mike?
I don't think we have any responsibility from
Okay.
a legal standpoint. Whether you feel like you have a moral responsibility is another issue. It's just kind of hard for me to imagine that the owner of Burger King would allow a person with the virus to continue to work. That would seem like a pretty foolish thing for the owner to do. The fact that someone tested positive and is now out of there doesn't necessarily mean the business needs to close. They need to do some serious cleaning before they start preparing food again. But I don't think there's any requirement that they close just because they had one infected employee.
All right.
And that's all alleged too. It's all unsubstantiated. That's what bothers me.
That may be, but we have a go-to Muhlenberg site that we check out complaints and concerns and comments. This isn't any different than that. If we have somebody out there with a concern about getting a virus at Burger King, I want to know if it's our responsibility or not to check. That's all.
I'm not sure if anybody can anybody
From
hear me?
From a legal standpoint, it is not.
Okay.
Steve, I think you were chiming in.
I apologize, trying to get in. My computer's glitching a little bit. I just wanted to clear a few things up. We did receive the complaint from Burger King. So I issued the zoning officer right away. I'm sorry, the health officer, Michelle Deliniak, responded to Burger King. Burger King was very open and upfront with us. Michelle Deliniak determined that Burger King did follow all CDC protocol and administered everything they should do as a restaurant that serves food, and they were in compliance. As far as the individual, they did express their HIPAA rules and regulations of where they stand with that individual. But as far as protocol, they followed all the necessary protocol that Burger King would be responsible to do at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
Anything else? Well, we'll go down. Staff comments. I see we have most of our staff on the call right now. So, Chief, you're the first one on my list. Do you have anything to add, Chief?
I don't really. You guys got my report. Has a lot of good stuff in it that the officers did. So you can take a look at that at your leisure. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Dunkel?
No comment at this time. All good.
Jeremy?
Not really any comments, just plugging along as usual. Need anything, get a hold of me.
Hey, Jeremy, I have one request maybe. I don't know if this is for you or for Parks. I seem to be spending an exorbitant amount of walks down at Jim Dietrich on the trail along with a lot of others. Would it be possible, or would it create too much of a hassle to put a couple extra trash cans along the Rivercrest route? I've tried to pick up some trash, but I just think it may help because the area is seeing so much activity.
Not a problem. I'll have that done tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Joey, anything?
I'd just like to thank everybody for being as flexible as everyone has been, considering, a good 30% of our staff has never worked remotely. So everyone has done a great job. Everyone is, splitting their time in the office and online, and I can see when all the computers are up. So we haven't had any productivity downtime. Everything's getting done. I especially like to thank customer service, because between Kim and Robin, they're making sure that all our calls and everything are still being addressed. So it's business as usual, even though in these kind of tough times. And thank everybody for being flexible.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Joseph, for all your work getting this set up. I know you've been probably working extremely hard handling all of our remote stuff. So on behalf of the board, we do appreciate that. Dawn, anything to add?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, thank you, Dawn. Jim?
Nothing more for me, thank you.
All right, Brian, you're last.
Only thing I'd like to add is Melissa Adams sent Joey and I an email regarding the library being closed. And we are going to post that information on the website and try to circulate that information. And I'd also like to mention that Paul Yost was kind enough to donate masks to the PW guys while we're waiting on our, our Amazon order. So thanks to Paul. Also, Joey is going to be setting up, a little station on the first floor and the second floor with some supplies, masks, gloves, a digital thermometer, just to comply with the CDC's recommendations. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Brian. The one item I'll add about the library, if you notice the article, I believe the Berks County Community Foundation gave the library, I'm not sure if it was $10,000 or $5,000, but Muhlenberg Library was on that list. So if you see it, they did get some grant funding, I believe, so which is a good thing for the library. All right, Commissioner Lurch, you're first on the list this evening.
I want to just thank our staff, all our volunteers, our officers, our fire company, our EMS, everybody on the front lines for doing everything they've been doing to keep this township humming as best it can in these times. I've talked to some of my neighbors kind of across the street from each other. Some of them are business owners. They have some real concerns, and I think the board tonight has done some fiscally responsible things in its decision making. I had a couple people approach me when we first did close the dog park and took down basketball hoops. But for the most part, people are kind of on board with the idea of safety first. We've had some discussions about what's going to happen when this is all over, and we all think that things will bounce back pretty quickly. But for the most part, everybody's trying to be safe and healthy. I learned this afternoon that a neighbor and a former coworker spouse passed away from the virus. So it's a dangerous thing that we're dealing with. And I can only think back to, things that some of our parents and grandparents and great grandparents went through, with depressions and wars. And, we've only been at this a couple of months, and some of the things that they've gone through took years and years. So hopefully this isn't going to be a 12-month deal, but I think we need to be prepared that it's going to be long-term, and I think we're taking some incremental steps. So again, I want to thank everybody that keeps Muhlenberg running for doing the things that they do. It shows the public that we care about them, and we have some very dedicated people that have our backs. So thank you all, and thank the board for everything that you're doing. Be safe.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Imhoff, you are next.
All right, I want to address the comments recorded in the March meeting minutes that were made by Commissioner Lupia. He stated that he was embarrassed by actions made by some of our board members. Derek stated that the accusations made by me to the school board were petty. I can't imagine or begin to imagine that our current residents that are struggling to keep their homes, or those that have already lost theirs, will consider the high cost of Muhlenberg school property taxes petty. Commissioner Lupia doesn't own a home and therefore doesn't have any concept of how difficult it is to pay for school property taxes, especially on a fixed income. So I'm going to go back down this road a little bit again. Muhlenberg School District's lack of leadership is the real embarrassment. We should all be embarrassed by that. The school board is currently preparing the 2020-21 yearly budget, and they're going to pass that this coming June. I hope that the rest of you guys go out and start talking to some school board members, because if they raise these taxes, it's going to be outrageous. And the questions that still need answered: are they going to raise the taxes again? I mean, they've been doing it since 2005. And the other thought is, will they be increasing the superintendent's salary to $200,000, $5,000 raise with results below average. And once again, the school ranks 11th out of 18 districts. Fact is, if this was a private corporation, the superintendent would have been terminated years ago for poor results. And finally, will this board take control of this practice of non-resident students being allowed to attend this school, which is costing us over $1 million a year? Now, I want you to know there is some hope. I have been getting some feedback from some people, including a few school board members that have been agreeing with me all along. I also learned that some people in the administration have been describing the superintendent as a self-serving narcissist. Maybe our school representatives are finally going to make some necessary changes. I hope that they do, and it's going to be up to all of us. So June is coming quickly. We were just talking about, are we going to cancel anything in June? And their budget is coming up because it's that's when they do their budget. So some things to think about. I'm going to ask you guys to please reach out to the school board members, and start talking to these folks, because this can't continue. They're hurting us. They're hurting everybody. That's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Commissioner Imhoff. Commissioner Wolfinger, you are next.
Not too much here, other than I noticed, Chief Heim, that there's a lot of police presence going around the neighborhood. And it's always nice to see, with this going on now, see some police driving around and showing that they're present. I sent the board an email about what's going on with the Ambulance Association and the police departments, and they have not skipped a beat. Jody Heckman said that the community's helping with personal protective gear. Grimm's gave some masks. Lowe's gave some machinery to disinfect the ambulances. The school district's doing different things throughout the county. They're using 3D printers to make masks, handing them out. So the community is involved in this whole process. And I'm seeing the volunteers they're going to fires and they're doing their job. So we're still protected in that respect. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lupia.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Chief for getting our guys out there. I'd like to thank Joey for arranging all this, being flexible at all times, and the rest of our staff. I think making adjustments quickly have really been a bright spot in this kind of weird times that we're living in. I think it shows kind of how flexible we are on our toes as a township, which is just fantastic to see. Regarding Butch's comments about what I've made, first things first, it's none of his business what I own and what I don't own. My comments were made for both sides. I'm talking about your actual comments to each other. Treat each other like men. Don't or women. Be adults. Don't act immature. Talk it out. That's it. It's not that I don't care or I don't have any sort of skin in the game. I absolutely do. I pay taxes just like everybody else here does.
No.
But by that same token, I find it kind of insulting. I made less than $30,000 for half of my term. I live on a shoestring budget. I make less money than most of our staff does. So regarding a lot of your comments, I found them insulting personally, but I'm a man, I can take it. And I don't mind. I care about this township just like everybody else. I just think that people need to address each other from a standpoint of kindness and try to work out issues like adults and not insult each other, or stop and pump the brakes and listen to each other. I think it's, I find that embarrassing that that can't take place. I find both sets of boards, both members of both boards in question, very embarrassing a lot. And I absolutely stand by those comments. But none of that takes away from my township for the my passion for this township, and my willingness to help out in any way that I can. So I am proud of this board as well. I'm proud of you, Butch, and I'm proud of everybody, Mike, Steve, and Kevin, and the staff that we put in place. I'm very proud of many aspects of what we do, but I have every right to be embarrassed about, conversations that dissolve or devolve, I should say, and erupt into things that get us nowhere. So that's my opinions on things, but I'm very proud of the staff and making adjustments as we're going forward. So that's all I have to say about that. So I'll leave it up to you, Mike.
I need to respond. None of you have been called racist or closed-minded or told to grow up or any other kind of nonsense. I asked 3 simple questions. One in January about raising the taxes. The second in February about the students going to school, which I absolutely have positive proof that they're doing just that. The superintendent told people to stand down, to stop bringing students to the school. The board, you can ask anybody that's been to the school board meetings, the board attacked me each and every time I stood up in front of them. The only reason I said anything is because everybody in this township suffers because of these school taxes. If they want to have a conversation, I would love to have a conversation, but all they've ever done is called me names. And the only reason anybody else that hasn't ever said anything is because they don't want to be called racist or closed-minded or anything else. I don't give a shit what they call me. I'm to the point in my life where names really doesn't matter, because I know what I am. I know the Lord knows who I am. I know. But when they started the name calling, all I did was ever ask questions, a few questions, and all this shit started. And I'm not going to take this shit. I'm telling you right now, everybody, that I'm not going to stop until something changes. I'm going to bring this up every single meeting. And just as soon as the school board opens up, I'm going to their meetings again. Somebody's got to do something about it. I would hope that my fellow commissioners might join and at least reaching out to the school board members and saying something about it. This is crazy. Right now, I know there's a roughly 4 members that are willing to not raise the taxes and maybe get rid of Macharola. He's the problem. I'm not going to go into this shit blind. I'm here to represent people, period.
Okay, moving on. Comments, just my final comments, obviously, thanks to everybody. Stay safe. The chief, it is good seeing a lot of the police presence. I think all of us are gonna know or already know people have been impacted by this. It's disheartening in my business when you see companies with 800 employees, laying off every single person, and putting this all into perspective about what matters and what doesn't matter. So it's been, a tough time for everybody, let alone having a high school senior. My poor daughter's having a rough high school year, but hopefully one day they'll be able to graduate and have a commencement ceremony. But I do appreciate all the work, all the staff, my board members, everyone's putting a lot of time in. And hopefully we can fight through this issue together, come out stronger as a community. I do think we're going to have to make some extremely tough decisions in regard to capital projects this year. So I just hope everyone really digs in and listens to Dawn and her expertise about how we're trending, because without furloughing employees, our expenses are going to keep continuing to be there. So and I'm not saying we should do that. I'm saying it's just going to have to really prioritize what's most important. So continue to keep a apprised of all of the financial considerations we're gonna have to make in the next couple years. So, or the next couple months, I should say. So I appreciate everybody. If anyone has anything for me, I'll be around like everybody else. So feel free to reach out and stay safe.
Was
Hey,
that a
Mike,
motion to
before
adjourn?
we sign off real fast, I had a note. I had a note that I wanted to say something. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Karen Schreiber and Judy Zettelmeyer for their help with Muhlenberg 66 for getting the Easter Bunny around. That was a big thing. Neighbors really appreciated that, and I thought it was a nice touch that the Easter Bunny had a mask on.
Gotcha. Thanks, Kevin. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, move.
Goodbye.
Bye.
We're out.
Out.